Hey everybody, it's me, Sara Wiseman. Welcome to the podcast. Today our teaching is called Send Out Light, and I think it may seem like, oh, that's just everybody always says send out light, or that's just a generic sort of message for the time we're in. But I want to look at it a little more deeply and I want to look at some of the ways we can work soul to soul with others. We can use our emerging telepathy that is coming in. And I just want to explore this from the energetic perspective, this idea of sending out light and what we as people who are, the spirit keepers or the way showers for the soul, all of you listening, what our role is in this grand transition of the universe. Please send your comments. I love to read those. I respond to everything. And please feel free to take this time. A lot of the podcasts that I see are very intense and have a lot of trauma, and I think are a lot of fear-based or sort of attention seeking to captivate you and make you not be able to look away. And that is actually one of the problems that we have with the internet and video especially, right? It's hard to look away. So in this particular podcast, what I'm hoping you'll do is just kind of relax. Just try and maybe even close your eye. You certainly don't have to look at me. I just always look the same, and there's nothing to see here, folks. So just kind of, close your eyes, sit with your journal, relax, and just kind of sit with this as if you had shown up to some kind of, meditation circle that you're in and the teacher's giving a talk early on. Just kind of show up, relax, and let this just kind of sink into you as one way of looking at how things work. Just one way, many paths up the mountain. So let's just try that now. We'll take that deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I can already feel like some of you have already clicked away because you just want to watch the next thing. And some of you are like, oh, I don't have time to sit. And it's like, you do have time. In fact, what do you have if not this place of being? If not this place of resting, stillness, relaxing, being here now and seeing what this is all about. So the first part of the channeled message, send out light. On Gaia, the storms rage, the wars burn, the abuse continues. You, in your momentary and temporary place of ease, have a job to do when you sense the suffering. Send out light as you would send out light and healing to your very own body when it is injured or sick. Send out light, speak to the cells, the systems, the souls of all involved. And yes, speak to the particulate and ask that it rearrange itself once again. You may think this is not possible, but we say it is. Arrange yourself so that this is your practice. The light will surprise you. So I want to look at this. So the first part of this, you in your momentary and temporary place of ease. Now, obviously not everyone is in a place of ease at this moment. But if you are having the time and space to watch this video or podcast uninterrupted, you're probably in a space of some momentary place of ease. You may not think you have enough money, or you may not think you have enough health, or your family systems may be very confused, your relationships may be very confused, or you may be facing all of the many, many, many problems that are sort of taking place all over the planet. But if you just do have this momentary place of ease, you have a job to do. And so if you're not the one who's actively suffering, you're not the victim in a war, you're not the victim of abuse, you're not the victim of racism or genderism, or misogyny, or all these ways that people who control make things separate, then you have a job to do to help alleviate the suffering. If you're not suffering, you have a job to do. First, if you are suffering, you need to look and see if it's in your own head. A lot of us have these really blessed and beautiful lives, and yet in our own heads, we go around and round with all these problems that just sort of don't exist except for in our minds. So first, sort of taking a look and seeing what's there. Like, what is it you're always afraid of, and is that even real? What is it that you're always stewing about, and is that even real? I've spoken before about Byron Katie, who did this really great work of, with every thought you have, you just say, is this true? Is it true? And mostly, it's not true. I don't have enough money. Is it true? In some cases, yes, that's going to be true, but for most of you, probably it's not true. You probably have enough. My family relationships are all messed up. Yes, but also you have options in how you deal with that. Yes, oh no, I don't have the right health. Yes, but you may have options, or you may have a different way of looking at it. So it's not to say that your suffering isn't real, but if you are suffering, there are ways to look at if the suffering is also in your mind. So that's one part. If you've done the work and you're not in a place of immediate suffering, and you've sort of freed your mind from the constant egoic swirl of suffering thoughts, then what is your duty, responsibility, your calling to help alleviate the suffering of others? So some of you are absolutely going to be called, as is part of your destiny, your life contribution, your life path. You're absolutely called to be there, kind of on the front lines, in a very active, almost like spiritual warrior type participation. Some of you, and I kind of think if you're watching this video, probably, if you were out on the front lines, you wouldn't have time to watch a video. So it may be that that's not you. Some of you are these magnificent healers, the kind of person that heals a room simply by going there, the kind of person that actually can do hands healing at all different kinds of levels, the type of person who's like a counselor or therapist or reader, medium, all of these ways that you can provide information that helps lift others out of suffering or helps provide clarity to others. So if you're doing that, that's wonderful. And then what about the people that aren't just, they're not on the front lines, they don't really see themselves as healers, maybe they see themselves more as life students or people on the path, learning and growing, but not necessarily identifying with any particular skill offering. What are we supposed to do? Or are they supposed to do? And what this is saying is, send out light, Send out light as you would send out light and healing to your very own body. And this is where we get this bigger idea of Gaia as the body that we're all sharing. So instead of our body and being especially concerned about our particular human form, and instead of looking at things as the human body, like we're all part of the human collective of one body, instead of that, we start to look at ourselves as one body on Gaia. Gaia is the body, and we are like, just as we have a body and our knee and our toes are part of that body, for Gaia, the humans are part of that body, or the birds are part of that body, or the trees are part of that body. So all of the parts of the body that is Gaia, we're just a little part of it, all work together in one uniform, one unified symbiotic relationship. So it's a lot bigger than just human problems. And it's also a lot bigger than ecological problems, because it's all interrelated. So how would you send out healing to the collective on Gaia, the collective on the planet of Gaia? Now, if we were going to go bigger, we'd be like, well, Gaia is not the only planet in the universe. All the planets need healing, and all of the universe needs healing. And I say, yes, that's true. But let's just start working with what pieces, what places, what peoples, what animals, what ecosystems on Gaia are crying out for healing. And so you can do this by, if you just close your eyes and you just imagine that you see the planet, like you go into outer space in your mind and you can see the planet below, and almost as if you can speed up the turning, the rotating, and look at this planet from all the different sides. And right now in your mind, you're probably sort of seeing that classic blue marble idea. And some of you will very easily find that you can look at the planet and sort of spin it or keep it going. Look at it from different, as it moves, you can see. And I would just like you to look for kind of like hot spots where the energy feels extremely agitated. And this may be from human activity, but it could be from something else, like the ecosystem. And at first, it would be very common, as you're starting to get used to this new way of journeying and looking at Gaia, to feel like all the hot spots are crowding into your mind at once. Like I'm seeing a hot spot that I hadn't really even been paying attention to. And I'm just going to ask the universe to, with my guides, universe, to just sort of let me focus on what I'm receiving on that place on Gaia. And I'm just going to sense into it. You can go ahead and do this too. So these are not unique skills. All of us can do this. These are ancient skills that we have kind of forgotten. But we can tune into any place or part of Gaia, from the deepest inner core to the surface to the atmosphere, all up and down, back and forth. And I want you to try and figure out what that is and where it is. Let's try and figure it out. And you may not know what part of healing that needs, but you're seeing something. And as you pinpoint what is coming into your mind someplace on Gaia, I want you to just ask it, what do you need? And the information is going to come into your mind. Just let that arrive. And that piece of earth may not say something like, we need water, or we need... I'm not sure what yours will say, but whatever it says, I'd like you to just send love in that way from what it requested from your mind. You're just going to picture that which it needs, and you're going to send that to that part of the planet. You might just say, I acknowledge you, I hear you, I answer you, I'm sending this to you now. And for those of you who know how to do energy work, you might just send some energy. For those of you who don't know how, you might just create some white or golden energy in your awareness and just send that to this place of the earth and just sort of coat it and blanket it like honey. And I want you, now that you've been working with this part of the planet, I want you to now bring your awareness to your own physical self and just see how different it feels to be. As you send love, you feel more love. It's like this cup that always fills and always overflows. It's always available. The more love you send, the more love you feel from your innermost spirit essence. It's like cannot be depleted. And just kind of feel that all over your own particular human form. And if there's any parts of you that still feel afraid or suffering or in pain, just let that golden or honeyed light or white light just sort of come into you and fill you. Now, of course, and you can come back to this reality now, of course, you can send this light to another person if you're having a relationship issue with them. Of course, you can send this to whatever you perceive as the dark forces in the political system, which, yeah, just send away. Don't be sparing of sending the light. I started doing this process. I call it, when it's between relationship, I call it soul to soul healing. When it's in this bigger scope of sending to places in nature, regions, systems, I just call it maybe sending light. It's somewhat Buddhist-y, or the Buddhists have a similar practice where they meditate on the end of suffering for all beings. But again, this idea that as you send light, more light comes into you. As you pray for others, more comes back. As you hold space and light for others, as you send love, more love comes in. When I started doing this with just other people with very sticky or tricky relationships, I noticed an instantaneous change. It's not really about the power of prayer, although I absolutely think that's great. It's really about establishing and appreciating yourself or identifying yourself as soul first, that is part of the collective soul, and then making your contribution from that level, of being a soul, and then going and connecting to the soul of whatever person or situation or collective or region or place or part of Gaia or part of the universe. It's like you just connect into that collective and you send love. And I've noticed that it's kind of shocking how amazingly things shift from being very dark and very confusing and very chaotic to really just these beautiful places. And again, they're saying, yes, speak to the particulate, send out light, speak to the cells, the systems, the souls of all involved. Speak to the particulate and ask that it rearrange itself once again, rearranging itself into positive outcome and highest possibility for all. Alrighty. We will be back with more. Please subscribe. That's the best way for you to find stuff. And go to the website where you'll find amazing courses for very low cost. You'll find training with me, books. You'll find the Gabriel Message book, which is one of the more recent ones. And I look forward to being with you next time. Thanks for listening.